4 unlimited hydroplanes on the Columbia River on Sunday morning, and that tells us it's time for Heat 2A of the Lamb Weston Columbia Cup. Two winners matched right off the bat this morning. The U1 Elstrom Elam Plus and the U3 Haas Mortgage Investors 2, both winners yesterday. U5 FormulaBoats.com and the U50 Miss Albert Lee, your lineup for Heat 2A.
So what we showed you before was recorded from yesterday. Now it's live racing. Dave Vilwalk has his defending national champion U1 Elam Plus on the water, ready for Heat 2A.
Jimmy King with piston power in the U3 Haas Mortgage Investors 2. Again, we said a minute ago he was a winner in Heat 1 yesterday.
See what happens when he matches up with Dave Vilwalk. Jeff Bernard had a good tour back east in the U5 FormulaBoats.com.
And Mr. Brian Perkins driving the Miss Albert Lee, the U50 boat that is painted up, looks very much like a Blue Angel.
Interesting because we have several boats in this heat, Mark, who prefer the outside. Brian Perkins has pretty much kept this boat outside and out of trouble and has done very well out there in Miss Albert Lee, the Spirit of the Navy. Dave Vilwalk has been starting in lane 3 and 4 with a lot of success. That might leave the inside to Jeff Bernard, and if he gets it and gets a good start, could be interesting here.
But Jimmy King wants the inside as well, and he is cutting through the lower end of the course as we look at Jeff Bernard come down across the start-finish line in the front straightaway. This is the point in time right now with about 2.5 minutes to go where the boats really start figuring out exactly who's going to get lane number 1 and who wants to be there. As we said yesterday, Dave Vilwalk from lane 2 had a very good run, had a lot of boat speed on everybody. We'll see what they do, though, because we've got 3 boats here that are very evenly matched. The U3 Haas Mortgage Investors 2, the FormulaBoats.com U5, and the U1 Elstrom Elam Plus.
We have 2 boats who won heats yesterday, and Jeff Bernard, who won the most heats in the Gold Cup in Detroit before it was canceled. So we have 3 really potential winners here, and of course Brian Perkins, a little bit older, slower boat. His tactic will be to stay outside, stay out of trouble, and score some more points. The young man has done a great job driving that pretty blue and yellow Navy Albert Lee boat, and that's him coming down the front straightaway right now, right in front of us. 2 minutes remaining on the clock as Bernard is pulling his Formula boats through the infield. He'll come out onto the straightaway, and now Dave Vilwalk is going to follow him in that bright orange Elam Plus, and Jimmy King swinging wide. So now it looks, Mark, like that's probably going to be their last time down the front straightaway. They're going to settle into their lanes, move slowly up the backstretch, and come down and try to time that start just as the clock you see on your screen ticks down to 0-0.
And that's critical because if they jump the gun, if they are there before that clock gets to 0-0, they are penalized a lap. These are 3-lap sprint races, and on our 2.5-mile Columbia River course, that would put you in last place. You just can't make up that kind of ground. But on the other hand, if you miss it by a second going almost 200 miles an hour, that's a football field per second, and you don't want to be 300 feet behind everybody else. So it's critical that they time that start exactly correctly. Looks like Dave Vilwalk is going to be in lane number 1. He's not quite in our screen, but Jeff Bernard in lane number 2, we're looking at him, and on the far outside will be in the outside lane. That's Brian Perkins.
Actually, Bernard's going to have the inside. Vilwalk was back far enough that when he came up, he was in lane 2. Jimmy King is going to be out in lane 3. He would like to be in closer, I'm sure. No doubt where Brian Perkins wanted his blue and yellow boat, he took it way to the outside and said, nobody is getting outside of me. So Jeff Bernard will have lane 1 when they come around to start. He'll have Dave Vilwalk, arguably the fastest race boat in the world, off to his right. And I think Jimmy King is in lane 3. We can check that for sure when they turn toward us. Here they come with 15 seconds on the clock.
Bernard in lane 1. It'll be Dave Vilwalk in the Elstrom boat in lane 2. And here they come. Turns Jimmy King in lane 3. Now that might be a good lane for him because he wants to keep his boat speed up. The boat doesn't corner quite as fast as everybody else. They're coming down with 2-1. It'll be Jeff Bernard lead him across the line. Second across the line is Elstrom, and third across the line, Jimmy King of the Haas Investors 2.
Bernard had his nose right on the line. We're checking that start for you. This is the way they started the final last year. Bernard had the inside. Vilwalk was back a little bit in the middle of the field, and we thought perhaps he was out of it. But when they came out of this turn right here, we saw the orange boat, and we will again. That boat is set up to run in lane 3, and it is absolutely a rocket out there. But now we have a great boat race. Jeff Bernard on the inside in the FormulaBoats.com. Miss Miss Elam Plus moving away from him just a little bit now on the back straightaway, and Jimmy King back in the rooster tail.
Both of them walking the boats, walking the sponsons as they head up to that western turn right now at the yellow buoy. That's the entrance buoy to the western turn. Almost a full rooster tail length lead for Dave Villwock and the Elstrom Elam Plus. But a great turn by Jeff Bernard. He's picked up about half a rooster tail through that turn on the inside lane, and Jimmy King comes around the turn as well in third place. Dave Villwock at the end of lap 1 crosses the line. Second place at the end of lap 1 will be Jeff Bernard, and now Jimmy King starts to pull the formulaboats.com as they go down the front straightaway.
This will become very interesting. How much room will Villwock leave for Bernard inside? Because if Jeff does not have a wide lane through that turn, he can't go through it at full song, and that'll allow Jimmy King outside in the Haas boat to gain some ground on him. However, so far, it looks like there is room for the red boat on the inside. Bernard, by the way, did wire the start. He was perfect, but to no avail, as simply too much orange race boat under Dave Villwock, who has a nice lead now with the race halfway over.
And Jimmy King has just pulled out ahead by about a nose in front of Jeff Bernard, now taking second place. But those two boats are mirror images as they head up the backstretch. Dave Villwock with a full rooster tail lead over both of them, and we'll see how much room Jeff Bernard has in the inside lane as they come through the western turn. But on the outside, and he may not even be able to see Jimmy King. Now Bernard has gone out to the lane number 2 position. Jimmy King has passed him for second place. End of lap number 2. Dave Villwock finishes lap 2 in first place. Jimmy King in second. Jeff Bernard just that close in third.
That turbine engine, that turbocharged Allison, I should say, aboard the U3 produces tremendous horsepower. Great shoot speed for Jimmy King when he can keep it running. He did yesterday, and if he does here, he may have second place. Boy, he's gaining on Villwock. Jimmy King is pulling up on Dave Villwock. The red boat running as well this weekend, Mark, as I have ever seen it. This boat is showing its potential. We're going to have a boat race now on the backstretch. There is a rooster tail outside of the Elam Plus, and that is Jimmy King gaining on Dave Villwock. Villwock might not have his foot all the way to the firewall. We'll see when they make the turn, Mark, and they turn toward us. This could be fun.
You can see a second rooster tail, and it's creeping up on the inside rooster tail, which is Dave Villwock in the Elstrom boat. On the outside, Jimmy King in the Haas Mortgage Investors 2. Now, Dave Villwock's going to take him a little bit wider, but there's Jimmy King, and he's going to try a drag race down the front straightaway. For the end of lap 3, the checkered flag is up.
Too much orange boat. Jimmy King gave it a great run. Villwock made a nice move. He squared off that corner a little bit, so Jimmy King had to kind of guess where it was, and that cost him a few feet. Third place boat coming by. That'll be Jeff Bernard in the Formula Boats U5. And now you're looking at our fourth place boat, the only one yet to finish. Brian Perkins, Mr. Steady, running on the outside in the U50, the U.S. Navy, presented by Albert Lee Pliants of Seattle. So a perfect weekend so far for the guys who had not raced previously here in 2008. Another heat victory for Dave Villwock, Eric Elstrom, and Miss Elam Plus.
I think he may have got a little surprised by Jimmy King on that last lap, Steve.
Could well be. The red piston-powered boat has boat speed. Everybody knows that. They have been plagued by gremlins over the last couple of seasons, and we just saw what it can do when it all holds together.
We'll be right back. You're watching the Lamb Weston Columbia Cup on KNDU. You're watching Dave Villwock as he cruises back into the Lamson pit area. Last boat in, so it may be a couple of minutes before he's out of that cockpit. A great run for him. He did not get the inside lane, but Jeff Bernard just didn't have the horsepower to keep up with either Dave Villwock or the Haas Mortgage Investors 2, driven by Jimmy King. If you visit the Elam Boat Shop in Ballard in the northwest part of Seattle, you get an idea of the technology this team has, and it is not surprising that they run as well as they do. For the viewers who have heard us mention the fact that they did not race in the previous 3 races this season and haven't heard the whole story, well, there is a good possibility that that team will take their 2 boats, this one and their backup boat, which they have painted up as the Boeing 787, and 2 other boats to the Middle East in December. And with all that going on, Eric Elstrom decided he wanted to keep his team at home and make preparations for the end of the year and a possible trip to the Middle East. And we wondered, Mark, if that would hurt them coming here, the fact that they didn't have the R&D time on the water this year that the other teams have had. Doesn't appear to have been a problem so far. Well, you know, in the early part of the year, Steve David was going to try to test the Oboy Oberto in Madison, and there was rough water conditions. They weren't able to do that. And so in Evansville, his first full day of of qualifying was really their test session. Dave Villwalk and the Elstrom team did not test until just about a month ago. They skipped the first 3 races, as we said, so they didn't test until early June. They did get a few laps in, but I think yesterday they were doing a little testing, and Friday as well. But boy, the boat has run absolutely perfectly so far.
You see Dave Villwalk coming off the boat. Wife Pam says, hey, good job, big guy. I see Scott Reister right there with him. We'll throw it to Scott. Take it away in the pit, Scott.
Yeah, that's right. A superstar for Super Dave. Now 2 heat wins in a row. How is the boat running so far?
Boat's running great. Luckily, Bernard jumped the gun, and so we hit it right on and a lot of boat speed, and once again, that was a winning combination.
It looked like towards the end, Jimmy King was kind of gaining on you a little bit. Could you sense that in the back?
Yeah, I could see him in the mirror as he was coming on, and we're just trying to, trying to do the best we can. The water was getting rougher, wind's coming up, so, it's good heat. Jimmy did a great job.
All right, thanks a lot, Dave. Congratulations, and we'll see if he can make it 3 for 3 with T3 later today. Mark and Steve, back to you.
Well, we didn't know that Jeff had jumped the gun. It looked very, very close, and Dave was about 2 boat lengths back in back of him.
We normally hear on the official radio that there has been a gun jump. We did not hear that, so we presumed everything was okay. We did see Bernard run an extra lap, and that was probably the reason why. Didn't look to be a major factor. I don't think Jeff had the race boat to go with Dave anyway, but if he was told that he had jumped the gun, he might not have run as hard as he would have otherwise, so that could have been a factor here, Mark.